If you'd like to participate in the discussion or leave us feedback, you can contact us at levelupyourgamingpodcast@gmail.com or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/levelupyourgaming. If you like the content and want to hear more of the show, subscribing will ensure you don't miss an episode. New episodes come out almost every Wednesday. Also, please review, tell a friend about the podcast, or share with your gaming group. Now sit back and enjoy the episode.
Welcome to the Level Up Gaming Podcast. My name is Aaron, and joining me virtually, I have Josh. Josh, how you doing?
Man, I am so tired. How are you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing good. I just got the rundown from you. I mean, I can hear the stress.
Well, I mean, it's not all doom and gloom. I was sick last week, and I'm sorry I had to, push everything off. I was just really relieved that I was feeling better by the weekend.
Yeah.
Because I went with my wife downtown, and we went and saw one of her favorite bands play at a little theater. It was just the right size, and it was a great show.
Yeah. No. I remember. I saw some pictures from the concert there. It's very, very cool. I'm sure it really put you in a good mood.
It did. It really, there's something about going to see live music, just any music really, that sort of rebalances you, maybe centers you. And I like the feel of the crowd and, the emotions that you get from the music. It's really nice.
Yeah, it sort of adds a little flavor to your life, right?
Yeah. You been to any concerts lately?
I know you got been to a concert in
the babies.
Good God knows how long. But yeah, we listened to lots of little baby tunes. It's a little
setting the mood that way. Yeah, we had to get my mom to come and watch the kids, and it was like the first concert we've seen in probably, I don't know, forever. But I think, I've missed music.
Yeah. And so it'd be in the vein of music and thinking about music, the topic for today is what's on your gaming playlist. And really, we're just gonna be talking about music in games and, using it to set the mood and whatnot. And, why do you use music in your game?
Yeah. Well, I know you're going to take a look at my notes here, and it's like, Josh, you don't have nearly the notes you normally do. I've just got questions.
You just got questions. I just got
questions. Like, first of all, what are you listening to now? I know you said you've been listening to baby tunes and stuff like that. Do you listen to music on your own?
Not really, actually. I mean, in the car, we'll because I used to listen to Q101 a lot, but we don't get as good of reception of it where I live right now. So I listen to my wife has 109.1 or 1019 on.
You're going to have to explain to our listeners what
they're just like the hits means. And alternative music, stuff like that. So
yes. Yeah. My wife has been listening to, which means I'm listening to because that's what she plays when we're in the car. Is the band that we went to go see was a fellow by the name of Amigo the Devil. And this is like bluegrass goth music.
It sounds like, I believe when I was listening to it the last time I was with you, I was like, this sounds a lot like Mumford & Sons.
Yes.
But it's a very different subject matter.
And I mentioned to my wife during the concert that the guy looks like if what's the guy who played Aquaman? What's his name? Jason Momoa.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
If Jason Momoa and Jack Black had a baby, and that baby wanted to sing like Tom Waits, and it was a great show. It was an absolutely wonderful show. But I've been listening to a lot of this sort of gothic country music, and it's it's got the twang, but it's got the dark, it's got the heavy. It's real nice, and we're listening to that in the car. But I know you're listening to a lot of baby music with the kids. We've been playing classic rock. My kids like 80s, like new wave and bopper music. We played a lot of Nine Inch Nails and 90s hits also
Mhm.
around the house. But what I found interesting was that we've got the kids headsets so that they can listen to music, and they asked for Spotify on their phones, so they're not just watching YouTube. And it turns out that they're listening to a lot of video game music.
Yeah, video game music is really good. Some of it better than others, but
Yeah, I think that's very interesting. But I can also see why it's helpful. They're doing chores and activities around the house, and there's something about, background music like that that makes it a little bit more interesting. Epic.
yes. Yeah, whenever you're doing work, it's always nice to have music playing. It's nice to have something to listen to in general, but music tends to do things. It tends to be able to be able to engage you in different ways depending on what you're doing. So like if you're like working out, like and you have a really heavy playlist, you can really kind of increase the intensity of your workout, just by having that little bit of extra oomph behind it.
Yeah, there's something to be said about, the music evoking either emotions or like inner strength, like bringing those ideas to the forefront. Do you listen to any music when you're doing writing for your games?
I cannot listen to music when I'm writing. I can't listen to anything else when I'm writing. That's too distracting for me. But I get the idea of why people enjoy doing it, as a whole. But it's too distracting.
Yeah, I find it's very distracting also, but I listen to music and then I generally get ideas from it, and I turn the music off and I write stuff down. So, because there's so much like emotion and idea, like flow that the music sort of brings, and I like to get those notes. I mean,
The only
not
I
the
guess
pun.
little caveat to that is if I have a theme or something that I want to write in the game, or like a song that I want to use as part of the game, I will oftentimes listen to it where I'm going to play the music and be able to write that part around the feeling.
Nice. Oh, so you talk about themes in your music and
Yes.
themes in your game. Wonderful. Yeah, I was thinking about that also. Like, you do play music during your game sessions, then?
I I play music during my game sessions. I view it like if you're watching a movie and there's no music or no sound, like background noise being played, it's very bizarre. Like think about like a transitional scene in a movie and nothing's there. Or even if you're just kind of playing the game, like it doesn't need to be loud either. Something that's sets ambiance within a game, and it's behind the scenes, and every time you sort of change a scene, you change the music. I feel like there's a real impact to kind of like you setting tones with that. Now it's really tough because like you might be like, this is the perfect song for everything related to like stealthy stuff, and all of your scenes happen to be stealthy stuff. It's like I either just play this on repeat for the next 2 hours, or I find some other ways to invoke that tone and that theme. But I'm a big fan of, and we've had podcasts where we've talked about it, is playing music and choosing good ambiance and good things within the game to be able to set a good tone within where the game is. Also, the music sort of sometimes cues you in, like, this is a safe place, this is a dangerous place, this is a scary place. Like, it helps evoke those emotions, just like you do when you're listening to music. It invokes emotions within you. It can do the same thing while you're playing a game. It can invoke the emotions that your players have, so especially if they recognize like one of the songs or something like that.
Yeah. No, actually, that was a point that I wanted to bring up, was talking about theming. Is that, safe things, or this is you put on the battle music, they expect battle. You like sort of have a horror theme, and they understand that it's creepy. It's a shortcut to players' emotions. but you can also theme some of your NPCs and sort of bring out like their theme music, like they've appeared and they're doing something heroic. And that's sort of brings you back to the whole video game music and what the kids are listening to is a lot of the games from when I was a kid did this extremely well. Is that you'd have specific theme music that relied around the characters, and you could hear how those motifs sort of came in, and you realize that this was this character's hero moment or this character showed up. And I've been thinking about using a lot more of that moving forward. Most of the game sessions I've been running lately, the Tuesday Night Crew, I had done a whole lot of music for the Cyberpunk game. I did a lot of background music for the Waterdeep game. And what I found out later was that most of the guys just turned it off. They just turned it off in the VTT because it can be distracting when you've got headphones on, and it does take away from hearing other people talk, and sometimes it overwrites the sounds that you're hearing from the other players, and that's annoying.
Yes. Again, there's a very specific moment before we start any game session, which is sound check, where I play my loudest song, I play my quietest song, and I let the players set a volume for the music, because there's like a music volume scroller. I let them choose the master volume for the music so they can hear me just fine, and the music doesn't take away anything, but it does hopefully offer that little bit of extra oomph behind it. Again, that's also the choosing the right song is really, really important when you're putting music in there. If it's Mumford and Sons that you're playing on repeat, you're going to have a different time and experience than if it's if it's like you've chosen like a video game track that you're going to play behind the scenes, for example. And so like ambiance can be set by something that's playing low, like 10% of your volume. So we're talking, and like in the background you're hearing like just a real low like hum effectively of this music, and it changes as you go to different places, and it doesn't take away then from what you do. If you just have it playing though, I can see how that could be distracting if the players don't know like the levels or the ranges of your sound. I can understand why the players might turn it off, because it's like, whoa, suddenly I ran into the raging fire and I can't hear Josh talk anymore.
Well, I think the other half of it was when I did the desert game, the El Sera, I was still using Discord for talking, but we had a plugin at the time that let me play the music through Discord. Now it's playing the music through the VTT and talking through Discord. And when you kick up Discord, it can overwrite the music, or the music can overwrite the talking just momentarily, or the way the computer picks it up. And sometimes it's software more than anything else. So I've been looking for a way to get, the best of both worlds, where I can have the music playing through Discord, so I can make sure that the volume is right. And I think that's what I'm going to look for next. But absolutely, with making sure that you get your players at the right volume, make sure that they're not going to miss anything, make sure it's not going to overwrite what they're hearing. Because if
at all possible, encourage all your players, if you're doing this online, basically encourage all your players to put on headphones. Boy. Yeah. You do not have them playing the music through the audio and reverbing back through their microphone.
Oh my God, it's the worst when you just like it, and it just gets louder and louder, and then just shutting off a person. Yeah, not fun. Can you give me an example of music that you've played in a game?
Yeah, I've got a pretty set standard thing. So like when we do like horror or like, a scary scene or something like that, there's two video games that resonated really well. They have really good soundtracks for it. So I like the Resident Evil 4 soundtrack for
Mhm.
horror, and I also like if you've played the game Killer 7, it has a couple of very, very impactful tracks that are like spooky and creepy and all that. As far as like safe music goes, again, going back to Resident Evil 4, like the save music theme basically, and it's very it's easy to talk over. It's not loud and like verbose. Um, there's some other like ones I've picked up from like animes over the years. And like battle music. You could go again. You could go with Resident Evil 4. They have a good one from like the lake fight or whatever. That's a pretty like standard. It's just like a bump up bump up bump up like kind of track.
Yeah.
Very very standard fight. But there's also like fun things that you can do with fight music. So like if you want to do a really fun fight, um, Black Betty is a great song to throw on. It's like it's very like it's just fun, and or like the boys are back in town, like like these are like ones that you can play on repeat, and the fight is just very fun, and like you're sort of again setting the tone with your battle itself, which is that this is not like don't pull out your gun and shoot everybody. Okay, this is okay. We're in a bar fight right now. Do something crazy. Break the bottle on the table and like you get into a fight, or like roll over the table or flip the table. Like do something crazy. That doesn't necessarily. It's not the most like meta thing to do, but it's more like cool, and it fits the theme of the music itself. And there's some other ones that we go about too. I've spliced some music together from various things to kind of do impact and like things that get brought in. Whenever I hear something, like as I go through like different media and mediums, I go wow, this is a really good like song, and I want to incorporate that into my gaming playlist, so that way I'm building upon it. It's never really the same like over and over, game through game. It's similar, but you're adding new things to it that allow you to do some fun stuff. So like I brought in like the from Inception, like the world like shifting music. You know the song if you know the song. And like I'm doing fun things with like time, and so like like people know it from the movie, people know it from the music, and like it all sorts of it invokes all those things. It helps too if like where some of these things came from, because you're able to then truly be able to connect the emotion that maybe you had when you played or consumed the media, and then be able to bring it into the game, which helps set the tone too. So like those are other things that are good about it.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you're using music exactly like I use tropes to tell stories.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
What about you? What music do you use, Josh?
Well, I mean, most recently I had been doing this whole Cyberpunk game, and I had loaded up a bunch of like dark techno and synth wave, and really leaned into like the 80s style techno sound, but with modern sensibilities. And I thought, I used specifically different beats per minute for different areas. Slow stuff was for the standard investigation or like going around town. I tried to layer it with ambient sounds for offices or for streets or for rain or any of that good stuff, and tried to find songs that match those for those environments. And then I really ramped the beats per minute up for fight sequences or whenever they ran into trouble. I had a really great one for when they were doing the crosstown street race, because I put together a whole crosstown street race for them, and it was like an hour and a half track that just like played through the whole thing. It was great. But even then before that with with my Waterdeep game or even the Al Sirah game, I try and theme the music to that. So it was a lot of fantasy music, taverns, pirate songs, stuff like that. And then for Al Sirah, it was a lot of Middle Eastern style music, with those sort of instruments, that sort of theme in the music to sort of make sure the environment matched. But you're talking about playing Black Betty or The Boys Are Back in Town, and I'm thinking, you don't have to. And what popped in my head during that when you were saying that was, have you ever heard of Hildegard von Blinken? Or hold on,
Hildegard von Blinken. No, I have not heard of. I have not heard of Hildegard von Blinken or whoever. Blingen.
Hildegard von Blingen. It's a YouTube channel, and I really love this. Hildegard von Blinging, Blingin apostrophe, does like medieval style renditions of popular music.
Okay, so you sort of take what I just said there, and then you even make it like a whole like another level into your theme.
Yeah. There's a Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish. There's a Bardcore, We Didn't Start the Fire. There is Wicked Game, the Chris Isaak song. Mm-hmm. They've got Hurt, the Nine Inch Nails. They've got Paint It Black. Paint It Black as a bard song that would be playing in a tavern. Perfect. Just absolutely what you walk into a bar and there's some guy on a flute and a drum behind him and they're doing Paint It Black and you're like, no, I get this. This makes sense. And I have pulled some of that before, but like that actually, I think we talked about, not overtaking the players and the voice and how you can't listen to things when you're writing. I don't like singing while I'm talking. I think the voices are distracting. So I try and go for more
acoustic.
Yeah.
Again, acoustic tends to work the best. I don't disagree with that. Even taking popular songs and finding acoustic versions of them is probably better for the most part for what you're doing. The only reason why you would want to keep like the words in there again is if you're trying to do something that's very campy. Mm-hmm. Okay. Otherwise, in general, I think it's better to go with something that has no words. It's all instrumental. And you just kind of let the notes speak for themselves, and like they're something that your voice resonates over to be able to help speak to the game. Also, the fact that the other thing that you get out of music in a game that that has nothing to do with the atmosphere of it is it breaks up the silence within your players. Mm-hmm. So frequently your players will stop talking and they'll just pause and like nothing's going on, but like and like you're like, is the game moving? Like, are they thinking? Like, what's kind of going on? The music sort of helps bridge those gaps, and like you can kind of see them like working through it. And it's not like it's like you're sitting on the elevator waiting for like searching for the floor, finding the answer, and the music sort of helps you get there. And so it helps bridge awkward silences within the group, or so I have found.
Yeah. No, having a little bit of background music does sort of fill in some of those gaps when your players are less verbose, when they spend time, just sitting there thinking about it or not talking. And it's been so long since I've played a game in person. When you do play games online, sometimes it gets real quiet, and then it's one of those, did I disconnect? So having a little bit of music, make sure that everything is still connected and make sure that everybody's still together in the moment, what's actually happening. I think if I get By next game, I'm definitely going to find a way to play music through the same system so it doesn't cut people out. With the whole voice thing, one of the things that I had gone looking for, and I think would be a great recommendation for people, karaoke. Karaoke versions of songs usually have the vocals stripped out. So if you're looking for, common music, people will recognize the song, but it won't have any of the words to be distracting, and it can work really well as background music.
Jared started doing a lot of that. He was taking karaoke of very like popular, very recognizable like modern songs, and then using them in the game to set scenes. They're also very good, like again, music. I talked about it, like using as background or music like that. You can also use them as set pieces for scenes. So like if you know something like swells into like a very intense part of a song, you can, again, this is where like writing kind of comes into play here. You can listen to something and you can sort of work out your narrative piece that you're going to tell your players and have the music kind of swell behind you to be like, I am now telling you this. It's like almost like you're reading like the Star Wars monologue scrolling, and like you know it's coming, like you know how it kind of all works and how it plays and how it trails, and like it's very recognizable, but you've sort of crafted your scene or like this impactful moment around this song and kind of how it kind of works out. So that's another thing you can do with music or play with as you use music in your game.
Oh. What sort of genres of music are you really work with the story you're currently telling?
Again, I go to my standard playlist. Actually, we're all done with this podcast. I'll hop you into the game, and I'll show you. I'll show you the music. I'll show you how it kind of plays out. So,
but you've got a standard playlist, is what you're saying?
Yeah. So the nice thing with Roll20 is that when they booted SoundHound or whatever they were using originally, they built their own jukebox then within the VTT.
Mm-hmm.
And you, as long as it's within like your data limits, you can upload songs to it. So you just upload some MP3s that like, you either, got them from, a soundtrack or an OST that you've got, and you upload those, and then you can import them into your jukebox for every game that you do. So just a fun little thing that you can do. And then I always have the same songs that are always available. I can bring them into the game. I can rename them. I can move them around. I can structure them. And then as I add more music to it, my list gets more verbose and more robust, and I can kind of play, the game just in different ways. I can have you listen to the music, and I can change things. So there's always repeat songs. Like there's almost indistinguishable songs that I have like between games. Jared's more I would say the experimenter of our group, in which he goes and finds new songs for almost everything he does. He has his old standbys, but he goes and finds more and more stuff that he uses. And so I do try to mix it up though, because it does get monotonous otherwise. Like you have the same things playing over and over and over again, game after game. So
yeah. See, I think I focus more on I pick songs that match the game I'm in. And since I try and switch genres like all the time, I've got different sets of music that I play for each one of them, rather than a standard playlist. If you got a standard playlist, I'm not saying you're not switching genres, but like I'm going hard.
I think that makes more sense though, is that you have a lot of different genres, and so like if you're going to try to bring in like different tropes or different genres, you're probably going to want to try to find a lot of songs that match the setting that you might be in. So, you don't want to have like, again, your Cyberpunk game could work with Bardcore, but it probably would be weird as all get-ups.
Oh yeah, definitely. Or, Fantasy Land with techno is also a very interesting choice. Totally would work, but in a completely different way.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's a lot of good things that you can do there. But I mean, again, the standby ones, like again, you've got listed here, your battle music, your investigative music, your horror music. Like the songs I've chosen are, I would say, ubiquitous in all settings. So aside from finding the ones that you want to add to match the genre, those are standard things from the playlist that are like, this is a horror track, and this is a battle track, and this is a really intense battle track, and this is a light, just fun battle track, and this is a you have to have a bunch of different things. And again, think about how you're going to interact. It's also nice to have a bunch of different music pieces so your players can they're like little flourishes that you can add to your game as you sort of like move through setting to setting. Or maybe you're like, oh, the players are going to do this thing next week. I didn't expect them to do this thing, but I know a perfect song that would fit this scene. It's a nice little like cherry on top of like of how you craft your game. And again, there's no need to add music to the game. Like the medium itself is a an oratory medium, and you speak and tell your story, and the players are going to do their thing. You don't need any music to enjoy the activity, but I feel like it's just a nice little thing that adds to the game.
I don't know. I've had in 2 separate games now. I've had 2 separate Battle of the Band events, where we've had in the Waterdeep game, one of our players was playing a bard, and he wanted to make some extra cash to help rebuild Troll Skull Alley, and so he went out and specifically looked for work as a bard playing music in bars and wanted to amass a playlist. And I did the whole thing for him. We had, all sorts of fun with that. And then in the Cyberpunk game, there was an event out in the desert where they were playing a high limit or like a no limit high stakes poker game with special guests, and they got the reason they got invited out was they were able to. One of the people was a rocker boy, and came in as a band, and so they like, well, I want to play some of the classics. I want to bring the town. So I put together a playlist, and they wanted to have other events that were going on during the time, so I had other bands that they could play that they hear in the background. And I think music is really good for evoking emotions and making sure that your players it is like you said earlier, it's very tropish, it's shorthand to that theme, that idea in your game. Yeah, it may not be necessary all the time, but I think that some music, if you're just playing, if you're just talking, it gets really dry.
Yeah, again, you just you have to understand the biggest key with it is it's a tool for you to use to shortcut, like you said, to emotion. But at the same time, you have to be very, as a GM, you have to be very cognizant of what you're playing, because if you just let the same song play on repeat the entire game session for 2 hours, okay, that does nothing for your game. It's just like, it's annoying background noise.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay? But if you're really focused on like scene to scene throughout your game, or every time something shifts within your game, or even within the exact same scene, like let's say your players, are in a bar and you're playing, your little bar music, and it's light, it's uplifting, and they're talking to someone. They're going to go meet somebody, and they finally find the person that they're trying to extract information from, and then you flip and you change the music the moment that they enter that conversation to something more cloak and dagger, and just that like you're showing the stages of emotion and how your game should be progressing. So you're giving, again, it is a shortcut to the cues on what this should feel like. Okay. Mm-hmm. And instead of me having to tell you one of my least favorite things is when a GM tells you this is scary or this is surprising. Like, you should feel that within yourself from how the GM, tells the story. Okay, let your players experience the emotion the way that they experience it. That the music is just a little cue, like, maybe think about it this way.
Yeah, one of the things I set up in the Cyberpunk game was I had a couple of macros. You can build macros in Foundry, that would actually change the color of the map. It would like be an overlay. It would be like, this is purple, this is red, this is yellow, and I was using those to signal those changes. And it would be really nice. I'm sure you can set up the macros to change the music. And what you're saying sounds like a great idea. I could set up a couple of different playlists for different themes or feelings and tie those macros, color change, to like a purplish overlay and like a cloak and dagger music. And then you've got both a visual and an auditory cue that'll lead a player into that idea. You get that really heavy, strong beat, fast music, dangerous with like a little bit of red battle, and maybe, you get that yellow color and the safe music, or even like a green or a blue, just to sort of, hey, things are okay, you're safe. And these sort of ideas, really useful. And maybe you can just mix them together and put together something that really illuminates the story that you're trying to tell for your players.
Yeah, again, just like another tool in the toolbox. Just use it as you will. But I would always recommend building up a gaming playlist and adding to your gaming playlist. The only thing I would say that you should not do not just turn on your Spotify playlist and play that. Okay?
No.
That's a bad idea. Okay, that's lazy. That's lazy work. There, don't do that. Okay.
Yeah, that's showing up at the party and just plugging your phone into the aux jack and just like letting it play. Don't do that. You have to curate a song list. You have to know the people you're there with. Otherwise, you're going to be halfway through it, listening to just like hardcore quality music, and it's going to cut in with Baby Shark because that's all that you've been listening to, Aaron. Because you got the kids, and it's just going to be like, it's going to ruin the party.
Yep, it's going to ruin the party.
Ruin the party.
So don't ruin your party and don't ruin your game. I think that's how we'll end that one. Unless you got anything else you want to end to this.
I think the only other thing I've got to say here is I've listened to a bunch of people online talk about how, in the past 20 years, there's not been any real advancements in music. We talk about the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and then into the 2000s, there was like distinct genres of music that really dominated those eras. Okay. And you think of 80s music and you've got an idea of what 80s music sounds like. You got 90s music, you got an idea of what 90s music is. And then the past like 20 years, it's been blah. But I don't think that's true. I think that's just you can't hear it on the radio. You have to go and looking for new music. This whole music that I've been listening to with my wife, that she introduced me to, that we went to see the show, it's very different. There's good music out there. There's new music out there. And experiencing that, finding that, listening to it, can open you up to new ideas and may help you tell better stories. So you're not also rehashing things that haven't changed in 20 years. Just a thought.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful way to think about it and to end the podcast there. So if you have your thoughts on gaming playlists or music in your games. Maybe you're just like, listen, I've played since the dawn of time, and I don't do gaming music whatsoever. Or, yes, I agree completely with all your thoughts on gaming music. Let us know. levelupgamingpodcast@gmail.com or facebook.com/levelupyourgaming. Also, the podcast is on YouTube, so smash the like button there. Subscribe to it, recommend it to a friend, download this from your favorite podcasting site, all those good things. And that'll wrap us up for the week. So for Josh, I'm Aaron. Have a good week, everyone.
All right.